That's my pen.
No, it's not.
Where's mine?
I don't know, but this is mine.
Well, give him. You're not using a pen.
Neither are you.
Well, I need a pen. Pen 15.
Okay. Hey guys, this is Annie and Taylor May. We are the owners of a gym called Fit People in Hoover, Alabama, which is right outside, or I guess suburb of Birmingham, Alabama. So typically when we do things like this, it's with some of our members from the gym kind of getting a first-hand account of their fitness journey. But we kind of decided to do something different and this is kind of what we do during the middle of the day. Just sitting talking about different things going on at the gym or things that we're dealing with. And so we figured we'd try to record some of it and see if we could get anything good.
Yeah, I think part of, we use the client interviews to kind of help tell our story, how we're different and what we do. But, I think another aspect of that is us and, discussing our beliefs, our personal beliefs and our philosophy and what we implement with our clients, and I think for this first one we really wanted to we just kind of chose it because it just kind of popped up the other day, but positivity and how it can affect your workout or your journey or really anything in life,
Yeah. It's affected by your attitude.
Right.
And how you approach situations.
Right.
And when you work out, it's really easy to immediately, I think, go to a negative place because it's hard and it's challenging and so many different things in your life can affect, how you work out and how, if you work out in the afternoon, if you have a bad day and then you come to work out, you're already in a bad mood and those feelings affect your workout. So it's pretty relatable.
Yeah. I mean, and you're dealing with it right now with your training. Her goal for an hour and 20 minutes for half marathon, like that's really what you're struggling with is when it gets hard, how do I stay positive? And and she's right. I mean, a lot of times, and this is broad brushing it, but women will step on the scale in the morning and if it's up 2 pounds, it'll let them ruin their day. And that's broad brushing, and it happens for guys too. They let that scale dictate their day, or they roll out. You always hear roll out on the wrong side of the bed. But typically, like when our clients come in, like I'm always trying to flip the switch. I'm always like, how can we stay positive?
Taylor's positive Paul.
Positive Paul and negative Nancy.
Negative Nancy. For the most part. I mean, it's easy for me to quickly just think glass half full and see how things can be wrong instead of stopping myself and saying, these things might be true, but that's not necessarily the things that you should be focusing on. And you are really good at being like, okay, how can we flip the switch and take someone's negative or even your own negative thoughts and make them positive?
Right. Yeah, and it's not like I have been positive forever. Like in my 20s was actually one of the worst times of my life. I mean, and I'll talk about that later probably in another section, but having to think about heart failure and dying and the way I see negativity in my head, it's like this kid and he's over here and he's doing cartwheels, like Mr. Negative or whatever, and he's like, hey, look at me
Negative Ned.
Right. And in my 20s, I was looking at him, I was focusing on, when I had the heart failure or whatever, I was like, oh my gosh, am I gonna die tomorrow? I'm got to do all this stuff, and I was constantly focusing on it. But it wasn't until I realized that I had the power not to look at him. Literally, you need to be aware of negativity. You need to be aware of things like that. Mm-hmm. But when you focus all your time and energy,
when you let it consume
you, then it consumes everything else you do. It's like a black hole. Mm-hmm. But, I first had to be self-aware, I'm doing this to myself. Like, I'm choosing to look at him instead of being like, okay, I'm aware of you, but now I'm going to look this way. And so, like, in my 20s, what I did was, for every negative thought that I have, and most of it was health related, or, you know, like, my last job that I had, like, I was, you know, not happy. I was just not happy. I was unhappy going to work every day because I felt like I could do more. I felt like I could do something else. And, you know, but one day I just woke up and I said, you know what? Those things are going to pop up. I'm going to be aware of them, but I am going to take 5 positive things for that one negative thing that I think about, and I'm going to flip the switch. And I'm going to tell myself everything that I'm going to give positive affirmation of myself every single day. Like, you know, I'm stronger than this. I'm, you know, blah, 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 blah. And every time I think something negative, I'm going to think of something positive.
Was there a time that, like, I mean, was there something that triggered that for you to flip? Because sometimes when you're so far in that hole, like, it's hard to switch it.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
to
like,
pull yourself out of it.
I was depressed. I had anxiety, you know, and you think, you know, it is a black and white. I remember some days I'm like, how am I going to get myself out of bed? You know? No, really. I mean, and I'm not just saying this because you're standing here, but probably it's when, you know, you and I started dating. I was kind of working through that. I was trying to work through, you know, Taylor, you're too negative. You got to start being positive. And then we met, and you started kind of pushing me a little bit, and you're like, okay, first things first, you hate your job, so we got to leave. What do you want to do? And I was like, I never thought about that.
No, it wasn't first. I got to the point where I was just like, I'm tired of hearing you complain. If you don't like it, then you need to change.
Right.
And that, I mean, it's funny to think that that's kind of how it all started.
So
because I can be so negative.
You were the original positive Paul.
No.
And I was the negative Nancy.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I guess. I mean, it's easier, I think, to, like, when it comes to other people, when you get in a bad mood and you're being negative, it's easy for me to be positive and be like, hey, you need to snap out of it, you know?
Yeah.
But then, like, when it's yourself, it's hard to pull yourself out of that, like, negative hole and that negative, like, train that you're on, so.
Yeah, it is. It is hard, but ultimately, each individual can do that, can make it happen. You know, and I'm saying that, like, right now, I'm at level 10. Like, I'm happy. You know, we just got back from Key West, you know, and got all this stuff going on. I mean, I'm happy. And then, but something, you know, I know that something's going to happen, and it's going to take me to a 0. But, you know, I know that I can take steps to work myself out of that. Like, if something happens with my family or whoever else, you know, something's going to take me to a 0. That train's going to hit me. But I can't be worried about that train. You know?
Yeah.
I can't be focusing on that train. You know, Dad always told me, and this has kind of helped me too, is that worry about something when it's time to worry about something. You know, and so every time, like, every time I'm working out or whatever, like, sometimes I see a workout, and I write these workouts, I program them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to suck. But then automatically, once that negative thought hits my head, I'm like, but it's going to make me better. It sucks, but it's going to make me better. And then I constantly feel you're going to feel great after this is over. You're strong, you're powerful, you're going to blow this out of the water. And I start having positive, you know, affirmation. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm grateful that I have 2 arms, 2 legs, and, you know, I have these goals. I can't just not push myself and still achieve these goals that I have for myself.
Yeah. I think you make a good point in that too, is because you could look at the workout and be like, oh God, this sucks. It's going to be so hard. And just focus on that instead of saying, like, stopping and doing like a complete 180 and then start to focus on all the, like, reasons why this hard workout is going to be good for you and help you, instead of, you know, I mean, because this happens all the time. Like, even with me, like, going into runs, I'm like, man, I'm about to run 13 miles. This is going to suck. I'm sore. I'm tired. This course is hard or whatever. If I keep doing that, like, it just gets harder and harder to do, as opposed to stopping and flipping and, okay, yes, this is going to be hard. This is going to hurt. I don't want to do this right now, but I'm going to focus on, like, each individual step until I get to the end and how this is going to help me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to do, but
Yeah, but it can be done.
It can totally be done by anyone, no matter how negative you are.
You know, I just some people like with the gym and everything. This happens with everybody. Like I'll come in and like you came in today or yesterday, or whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so hot, and I automatically said, quit focusing on that. Quit focusing on the negative. If you focus on how hot it is, and not your workout and what you're trying to achieve in that workout, and the positives of that workout, then you're not going to have a good workout. Mm-hmm. Now you can still work out and you still burn calories.
You just go through the motions, though. You don't really get the most of it.
And you used to say, like, in your track, you hated going to track practice in college. Mm-hmm. And then that one day you said you're on the bus, I got to do this. Mm-hmm. So I might as well have a good attitude about it. And you said once you said you had a good attitude about it, everything changed. Mm-hmm. It's amazing what positive thoughts, constant positive thoughts, positive affirmation, can and being grateful for stuff and mindful of all the good things. It's amazing how that can affect your performance.
And also too, like even going back to the track thing, it's like the minute I felt like I was like, you know what, I gotta do this anyway, I might as well just stop complaining and have a good attitude. It's amazing how like the same practices that we had been doing just seemed so much easier when my attitude changed. Like when you focus on how negative, like all the negative thoughts and how hard something's gonna be, it is hard, and it just is that much harder because you've got all this like the negative weight on you. But when you shift and you focus on, like whether it's going to be hard or not, I still have to do it, and it's still going to make me better. And you start focusing on that list of things like you said you did, when you were in your 20s, and how you couldn't wake up in the mornings because you were just so consumed by it. Like, it's the same thing. If you just start focusing on the positives, things that were hard or are hard become easier.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that weight on your shoulders anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes this is hard too. Like, we all have negative people in our life. And sometimes one of the hardest things to do is to cut those people out of your life. Because, it is true, like one negative person can affect an entire room. So 1 out of 10 or, whatever. Like you have 9 positive people and you have 1 negative person, and that somehow is going to drain the room.
If anything, it's just because all those positive people are still like they're still having to focus on like, God, this person's so negative, and they're feeding so many negative thoughts, and it pulls them away from being able to stop and think of all their positive thoughts and being just happy about whatever's going on.
Yeah. I just think that if you want to stay healthy, if you want to stay healthy, and you just don't want to just start something and then stop, because listen, we all get to that point where there's behavioral changes, stages. So pre-contemplation, they're not thinking about it. Contemplation, they're thinking about it. Preparation, okay, I'm going to do something. It's December, start January 1, I'm going to do something. Then action, they jump in head first. It's new and it's exciting. And they try to get to the maintenance, but what happens is during the maintenance phase, it becomes boring. Because you adjust to it. It's not new anymore.
You get in a rut.
Yeah, it's like having a new car. Like when you first get in your car, you want to drive it everywhere. Like a truck. I want to drive it everywhere. But the longer it goes, I'm adjusting to that car, and I'm going to get used to it. And then in my perception, to make myself happy, I'm going to need a new car. Or when you get that new house, you're excited, and then over time, like that house, you adjust to that house, and you're like, to make myself happy, I'm going to get a new house. Well, what if you can, the people that are successful in the fitness world, yeah, they adjust, everything becomes boring, but then they find ways to stay positive, to be grateful for what they're doing, to savor what they're going
to be able to look back and see the things that they couldn't do before that are now just part of their life.
So instead of thinking of all like, I've been doing this for so long, blah blah blah, you go back and be like, I am grateful that I have achieved this. I am powerful. I'm strong. Positive affirmation. Savor the moment. take it all in, be grateful for being able to do it, because there's people with no arms, no legs, or people that are going through disorders that can't do it. That's another thing that motivates me. Like, there's kids with cancer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to quit. I'm like, you know what? They wouldn't quit. That girl who died of cancer, what was her name? The runner?
Okay.
Yeah. I constantly think, like, she was trying for the Olympics even when she had cancer and going through treatment. And so when it gets tough for me, I'm be like, you know what? What would she do if she was here right now? Or
how would she appreciate it if she was, like, how would she push herself if she was here right now?
Or the guy with cerebral palsy. What would he do with my body? There's people out there with less.
They're
doing more. And they're not making excuses, and they're just as happy as they can possibly be. It's funny how, the positivity effect and how your outlook on everything.
I think it's like personal perception too. Like, that's what can, drive you to think something is negative or positive. I mean, if it's like, we keep the gym really, really warm, especially in the summertime. Like, we have the doors open a lot and the temperature's up, and
not like suffocating warm.
Even I'm like, oh God, it's so hot in here. Can we please shut the doors and crank up the air?
Negative Nancy.
And you're the one that's like, stronghold. No, we're gonna keep it higher. It's not like we've worked out in here when it's much, much higher. But it's your perception of, like, okay, it's hot, but, like, really, how hot is it? I mean, there's definitely environments in other countries or other states where it's hotter, if it's possible to be hotter than Alabama, but that people work out and live life every single day in the heat and the humidity, and they're not even, like, considering how hot it is, so it's, I mean, yeah, it's hot, you're perceiving it as hot, but, like, your perception of how hot it is can be different from someone else's perception, and somebody else can walk in at the same time and think, man, it's hot in here, but it's just going to make me sweat more and get me a better workout.
Yeah. Or you're like, this is going to be a challenge for me.
Yeah.
So some people are like, they kind of run.
They like that it's hot.
Yeah, they run to the fire. Like, this is a challenge. Can I do it?
Yeah.
And if I can do it, why do people climb Mount Everest? Because they can. Now, you don't, the older we get, you don't want to. I mean, we're not going to have it to where it's unsafe. We're just going to have it to where it makes you a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because if I can make people comfortable with being uncomfortable, then that's one thing that we've psychologically.
Yeah, and I think that's true too. The more, like, situations that you can put yourself outside of your comfort zone, and I say this while talking to myself too, because it's really easy to say it, and then when you're in the moment, like when I'm in my runs, it's really hard for me a lot of the times to push myself outside of where it's comfortable. I need to be at like 165 to 175 heart rate, but for me, 150 to 160 is comfortable, and even 160 is kind of pushing it. So, I mean, the more times though that you push yourself and run or do whatever you're doing outside of your comfort zone, the easier it's going to be the next time to do it and get in that position. And then it just kind of becomes like a habit,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, like when we went to Key West. I mean, speaking of that, like, when one of my friends turned 40 and I'm about to turn 40, and I refused to let that number depress me. Like, if I'm lucky, or I don't like lucky, if I'm fortunate, I'm halfway there, considering life expectancy and everything. But, what I keep telling myself and what I told this person, my friend, is that one day you're gonna miss being 40. So take it in right now. Like our kids, like, we get sad when they start growing up. But if we focus on all the negatives of them growing up, we're gonna miss them now, because one day we're gonna miss them now. That's the positive. Of it all, and when clients come in, when they come in and I get it, I promise you I get it. Those same thoughts run through my head, but it's my job to motivate those people to be uncomfortable, to do things that they normally wouldn't do, because that's where change comes from. And so when they come in and they say something negative, I'm not being a smartass. I'm just trying to flip the switch can I shut that down? Can I say I'm their stop button? Mm-hmm. So if they come in and like, oh my God, it's so hot, or oh my God, I had the worst day. Put the brakes on. Stop. Oh my God, it's so hot. Well, you know what else is hot? Hell. And you're not there. You're in the gym right now. It's only 80 degrees. Let's go to work. Yeah.
The other age.
Yeah. And, you know, and I'll try to be somewhat funny with it, and some people kind of get a little upset with it, but that's how my mind works. You know, when I start thinking negative, you know, I've got to drown out. I've got to drown because it will consume me. Mm-hmm. Like I promise. Yeah, I was in a black hole in my 20s.
But I mean, like even like just the way that, you know, people are trying to, like you try to put me in a better mood on our runs, and you know, especially the end when I'm slowing down and I need somebody to push me, that constant like positivity, I can perceive it as you're getting on my nerves, you need to shut up, or I can perceive it as he's just here trying to help me. Like the reason he's continuing to talk and talk and talk is because he knows that you're struggling right now and he's trying to help you.
Yeah, and it's 50-50 which one I get. Actually, it's more like 70-30. 70% I get the angry Annie. And 30%. But
then sometimes even when I get angry, I'm like, you know what? Screw him. I'm going to just try to run as fast as I can away from him. Like I did 2 weeks ago, and like that little boost towards the end, I was just like, oh, stop talking, and tried to like get away from you just to run a little bit.
The funny thing is, like, it made you faster. Yeah. Like something like, you know.
And then when the run's over, I'm like, you're right, I should have pushed myself harder. Or thank you. Occasionally I'll say thank you for doing what you were doing to push me. I mean, and that's the thing. Like we're sitting here talking about being positive and ways to be positive, but I mean, we're not pros at it either. Like, we both struggle with it, and I definitely struggle with it more than Taylor does. So, like, when he's being super positive in class and I look over and see some people's faces and reactions, like, I can sit back and be like, I totally understand how you're feeling, but he's also just trying to help you.
Yeah, I'm not trying to piss people off.
No.
I mean, I've studied successful people, and successful people, you know, they work hard, they're self-aware, and you know, they're patient, but you know, the main thing, a lot of them are just positive.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think here's the takeaway.
Yeah, because we gotta wrap this up. Are you gonna pick the kids up?
Yeah. So here's the takeaway. Everybody needs to practice positive affirmation. You know, you might look in the mirror and be like, oh, I'm fat and I'm ugly. No. You need to, if you start thinking those, you need to automatically, I am strong, I am powerful. Mm-hmm. You know, if you believe in God, you're made in God's image, right? And He's a warrior, mm-hmm. according to, you know, some books and stuff. But not in physical form, right? But we're made in His image, and He's a warrior. We're warriors. We're meant to fight. We're meant to fight through, you know, tough things. We need to be grateful for the things that we have.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if
you focus on all the things that you are instead of all the things that you aren't. Yeah. That's what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
And then all the things that you have to be grateful for.
Right. You know, there's people with less that are doing more. So be grateful for what you have and go to work. You know, you could be the victim or you can be the warrior, you know. And so, you know, that's two things. Like winners, usually there's winners and losers in the world, and there's a scoreboard, and you know, whether people like it or not, there's first place trophies and there's second place trophies. But winners choose to be warriors. They don't choose to be victims. And everybody fails, everybody falls down, but winners get up and they keep fighting. And they find the positives and they keep going. So anyway, I guess going back and without running off on a tangent, like positive affirmation. I am positive.
I am focus on all the, and like list all the things the positive things that you are.
Right. I am grateful. Mm-hmm. What are all the things you're grateful for? Why are you working out? Why are you doing the things that you do? It's because most of the time it's because of the people around you that you love. Mm-hmm. You know, it's for yourself, it's for the people you love. You know, you're grateful for your health, you're grateful for life, you're grateful for all this stuff. And I think people need to be more mindful of the moment. You know, we were talking about this yesterday with you know, our friends and everything, is that if you focus on that goal all the time and you don't focus on what it takes to get there, a lot of times you won't get there. Like, I want to lose 15 pounds. why am I not losing 15 pounds? Well, I'm not focusing on the steps I got to take to get to that 15 pounds.
Yep.
So be more in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in everything that you do.
And even in life, like we were talking, you know, in our text feed with the people that went on the trip with us, you know, talking about 40 is a big number and how it kind of changes your perspective on life and how you can let it depress you, or how you can focus on like living more of each day to the fullest. And like, it sounds cheesy, but really like focus on all the great things that you have going on right now and the stages that your kids are in. And, you know, not that you're turning 40 or turning a certain age, but that like you're blessed to be at that point.
I'm you know, with the heart failure, I'm excited to be 40.
Yeah, you made it 20
And what I can do when I'm 40, and the goals that I'm going to set when I'm 40. Hey, can I do things that I did when I was 18? You know, as far as physically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I want to do. Like, it's going to be your turn to push me. And I'm excited about that. You know, I'm excited about turning 42 because finally, like, because I lost my hair so early, I was the guy that always looked older, and now, like, with no hair, like, I'm kind of a guy, I'm just kind of shifting back, you know, like.
Everybody's catching up to you.
Well, you can't see the gray hair, you know, so you don't know, you know, maybe I can look a little bit younger than normal. But I think that the last thing is don't dwell on the negatives. You know, think about that kid doing cartwheels, and say you had a bad day at work and you carry it home with you and your family eats it because you're dumping it. But that little kid, and he's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. Literally, that negativity will consume you and will take you to a dark place. Acknowledge it. Be aware of it, because you have to be self-aware of everything that's around you to be successful. Be aware of it. Acknowledge it. But choose to look the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let negativity consume you.
Otherwise, you'll get to 50 or 60 or 70 and look back and realize your entire
What the
life,
hell?
all you did was focus on.
I focused on
negative
shit that didn't even matter.
Yeah.
Like, that didn't even
That you
matter.
can't even remember anymore.
Yeah, like, I mean, I had doctors telling me that my heart was fine. And I was running like 3 miles under 20 minutes, and I was working out and I was doing all this stuff, but I continued to focus on it. Like, what if it comes back?
I'm dying.
What if it comes back? What if this? What if that?
Yeah.
And then finally one day I was like, you know what? Why don't I just listen to the people that are trying to help me?
The professionals that are around you.
Yeah. And focus on the things that I can control.
Yeah.
You know, and going forward. But, you know, everybody needs to realize that they are able. They're, you know, I don't like I hate the word can't, I hate the word limit. Think about the positives. What are you grateful for? You know, think about the journey. Think about the next rep. Think about right now, and then the goals will come. And don't focus on the negative, because if you keep focusing on that negative, it'll suck you in like a black hole.
I think, like, too, you mentioned this a little bit, but, like, really, it's like, focus on, you have a goal, and it might be, like, really intense. For 120 for me is a really, like, I mean, I've never run that fast for that long, and it still, to this day, even after training for over a year, it still, you know, scares me. But when you're running, like, and you've put this in my head, like, don't focus on the 13 miles that you have to run. Focus on the one, or focus on the 800 meters that you're about to run. And then after that, focus on the next 800. And then, you know, like, that's what I was doing when I was running today. I'm like, I have 26 laps that I have to run around this building, and it sucks. But if I just focus on 26, it's going to take forever to get there.
Yeah.
If I focus on, all right, 1 lap, I got 1 lap to run, and then I get to the end, all right, I got another lap to run. By the end of the run, it's like, oh crap, I'm already at 23 laps. Like, I'm almost there.
Yeah.
So it's, like, be positive. Don't focus on the negative that's right in front of your face, but take your goals and break them down so that you focus on the tiny steps that it takes to get you where you're going.
If we would have opened the business, you know, I sold my truck, we didn't have a house, all that stuff, you know, and I remember you saying, I need a house. I know, I get it. But what I'm worried about is getting to the next month. Because if we don't get to the next month, that house isn't coming. Yeah. Right?
Or the house is going to go.
And it's funny how, like, we open this business and, like, you're watching your perception of it all change. Like, in order for us to get the house, to get me a truck, to do things that we want to do, we have to get to the next month. Mm-hmm. We have to make the next step. Yeah. Because if we don't make the next step, we're not getting to the next month.
Well, and
we're not getting to our goal.
Yes, and to that point is, like, you had me, or I had you to bring me down and say, hey, yeah, like, that's what we want, that's the goal, but we have to, like, take our focus to this stage first. And like that's another important piece of the puzzle. Like sometimes it's hard to bring yourself, like you're just going to be negative and you're having a bad day. You have to surround yourself with people who like know your goals and know how to motivate you and know how to say, hey, you need to stop. You need to look this way because this way is not going to help you. And if you don't have people around you who are going to help you like do a 180, then you're just going to have people that are going to fuel the fire of negativity.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Positive thoughts.
I thought you were saying thumbs up.
Positive affirmation. I'm strong and powerful. I am.
Yeah.
Need to be grateful for things that we do have. Instead of focusing on the things that we don't have, be grateful for the things that we do have. Be mindful of the moment. Focus on now. And later will come. Later's going to come no matter what. Time is undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on now. Be appreciative of now. And don't get sucked into the black hole. Don't overthink molehills. Don't make the mole. Don't make a huge hill out of a molehill. Like, what was it on Will Smith?
I don't know.
Don't make a big deal out of molehill. Hillary. Okay, anyway. From Will Smith.
I must have missed that episode.
Yeah. But anyway, and you have, if you have trouble with it, 5 positives for 1 negative. So we rambled on for a long time, but
no, we probably didn't get anything.
we'll post it, and we're probably all over the place.
Get a bunch of negatives.
Subscribe to the channel. Let us know how much you hated it or liked it. Let us know what you want to see more of. And we'll keep talking. We'll keep coming up with ideas. It happens every day. So we'll have these conversations and we'll just put it on video and let everybody understand like where we're coming from and how we struggle just like you guys do. It's just different. Everybody struggles. Everybody's struggling with something. So
we're all in the same boat.
Yep. We're on planet Earth.
We just gotta figure out.
It's all a sinking ship. We're just trying to stay as afloat as long as possible.
Negative thinking.
That is negative thinking. We're not on a sinking ship. We're on a yacht. Thanks, guys.